Today we're going to talk a little bit about the artist Roy Lichtenstein. Roy Lichtenstein was probably one of the best known pop artists of our time period. And what a pop artist is someone who creates art using popular culture, using the images, what we think might be mundane, such as a bread box or a tire or a traffic cone, and turning something like that into art, or painting that item as art. Roy Lichtenstein was born in 1923 in New York. He had a fairly upper middle class childhood when he was growing up, and his mother very much took his sister and he to concerts and art galleries and exposed them to a lot of different cultural aspects as he was growing up. He went to school at Ohio State University and then was in the military during World War II, served in various capacities including an orderly and a draftsman and an artist for the military. And when he left, he went to study art in France. However, due to his father's illness, returned home to the United States. He eventually went back to Ohio to eventually teach after furthering his education. When he was married, taught for a brief period of time, as well as started creating art. His art career didn't go so well early on, and neither did his teaching career. He was not renewed, and so during that time, he worked a lot of different jobs, even as a window designer for retail, a draftsman again, just a lot of different jobs just to put a paycheck on the table. His wife was able to have a good career, though, as an interior designer. And eventually, they moved to New York City, and that's where Roy Lichtenstein really developed his art that we know today. This would have been in the late 1950s and early 1960s, and the art movement at that time, the popular pop art movement of modern art, was really starting to evolve, with a lot of artists such as, you may know the name Andy Warhol. It's another artist that we have here in the collection. Roy Lichtenstein used images that we see in popular culture, most notably in comic strips, to manipulate in his art. He would alter them, he would modify them, and use them for his own artistic expression. Specifically, he liked to use comic strips that were in the newspapers. And newspapers, when they're printed, a lot of you might know they have these tiny little dots. Those are called Ben-Day dots. And what they are is it's part of the printmaking technique. But Roy Lichtenstein manipulated that, and so he enlarged them to be larger than life. And so in a lot of his works, we see here there's blue dots, here there's red dots, but this is very common during the printing process, but they're super tiny, so you don't notice them. But he enlarged them. He would take images, he would take things such as graphics and designs and shapes, a lot of what we've talked about this week, and he would manipulate them. So in this artwork, I'd like, especially for our younger visitors that are watching today, to figure out how many shapes that you see in this artwork. So we see half circles, and we see parts of shapes too. So we see triangles and slices of circles. We also see here, for example, this is supposed to be a bow tie, and that's made up of very specific geometric shapes that don't have as much detail as if they were in a traditional painting. Became very well known for this. Eventually, Roy Lichtenstein started doing sculpture as well, and a lot of his sculptures were made into very much the similar look of the comic book strip with the dots that were his signature. And we have him to thank for a lot of that pop art that we're so thankful to have today. Roy Lichtenstein died in 1997 and worked up until the following, the years leading up into his death. And we really have him to thank, as well as a lot of the other pop art artists, for introducing us to and creating this very fun, very accessible art medium.